The future is not waiting somewhere far away. It is being poured, welded, and bolted onto the Earth right now out of steel glass and pure nerve. Out in the Gobi Desert, more than 10,000 mirrors bend the sunlight into a single burning point on the ground. Above the Arctic Circle, dozens of white radar domes glow under the northern lights like a base on a frozen planet. On one Chinese river, a wall of concrete holds back so much water that scientists measured the whole planet spinning a fraction slower because of it. These are not fantasies. They are futuristic landmarks, engineering wonders, standing in the hardest places on Earth. We are about to cross deserts, oceans, and canyons to reach the most insane megaprojects ever attempted. The architectural masterpieces that turned impossible into a road you can actually drive. Subscribe and come with us, because some of these structures should not exist, and yet somehow they do. Before we start, do us one favor. Tell us where you are watching from. City, country, whatever you have. And if one of these structures turns out to be in your country, come back and say so. Some of you are going to be surprised. Off the coast of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, there is a palm tree so large that astronauts can pick it out from orbit. This is Palm Jumeirah, the biggest palm-shaped artificial island ever built on Earth, and one of the boldest megaprojects ever attempted. When Dubai ran out of coastline, engineers decided to build more straight out into the sea. They poured over 120 million cubic yards of sand and 7 million tons of rock onto the seabed until an island rose above the waves. Here is the part that still feels impossible. Not a single gram of steel or concrete holds the fronds together. The whole shape leans on nothing but the weight of sand pressing against rock, guarded by a curved breakwater running almost 7 miles around the edge. On that borrowed land now sit rows of villas worth millions each, a paradise or a quiet gamble against a sea that will one day want its space back. Hundreds of feet above a canyon floor, men once hung from ropes against a bare rock wall, carving out room for something the world had never seen. This is Hoover Dam, wedged between the sheer cliffs of Black Canyon on the Nevada and Arizona border in the United States. For a time, it was the largest human-made structure on the planet, and it still stops people cold. So much concrete went into it that if you rolled that concrete into a two-lane road, it would run all the way from San Francisco to New York. The mass was so enormous that left alone it would have taken about 125 years to cool and fully harden. So engineers ran an ice-cold network of pipes through the wall to force it to set. Now there is a $3 billion plan to turn this 1930s giant into a colossal battery, pumping water back uphill to store green energy for a century it was never built to see. Deep in the Alula Desert of Saudi Arabia stands a building that seems to blink in and out of the landscape. This is Maraya, a concert hall wrapped in about 104,000 square feet of mirrored glass, the largest mirrored building anywhere on Earth. From a distance, the ancient sandstone cliffs slide straight across its walls, so the whole structure half vanishes into the desert around it. It rises a short drive from Hegra, Saudi Arabia's first UNESCO World Heritage Site, a place carved by hand 2,000 years ago. To survive brutal heat and sandstorms, its outer skin uses a special mirror built to resist cracking and clouding. Inside, the sound is tuned to opera hall clarity, and the wall behind the stage can slide open on command, turning the raw rock valley outside into a living backdrop. Technology used here not to show off, but to disappear. Out on the Gobi Desert, near Dunhuang, in China, 12,000 mirrors turn to face the sky at once and set a patch of the desert ablaze with light. People call it the Super Mirror Power Station, and from above, it looks like a giant silver sunflower blooming on the sand. Every mirror is aimed at a single point atop a tower roughly 850 feet tall, folding thousands of sunbeams into one blinding spot of heat. This is one of the most advanced solar projects on Earth, built where the sun is merciless and the land runs empty for miles. Ordinary solar farms go dark the moment the sun drops. This one does not. It pours its heat into molten salt, a liquid hot enough to keep the turbines spinning long after nightfall, sending power to cities thousands of miles to the east. A machine that swallows daylight, then hands part of it back after dark. About 750 miles from the North Pole, on a frozen Norwegian island, dozens of white domes glow beneath the green fire of the Northern Lights. This is Svalbard Satellite Station, one of the most remote outposts on Earth, and it looks less like a research base than a colony left behind on some icebound planet. More than 100 of these domes stand scattered across a snow-covered plateau. Sitting this far north hands the station a rare gift. It can catch every one of the 14 daily passes that polar orbiting satellites make around the planet, something almost nowhere else on Earth can manage. Day and night, it pulls a river of data down out of orbit. Weather systems, climate readings, images of a world that keeps changing. It has quietly become a fortress of information at the very top of the map. Listening to satellites most of us will never see, in a place most of us will never stand. On China's Yangtze River sits a wall of concrete and steel so vast that it quietly changed the spin of the entire planet. This is the Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydroelectric dam on Earth, built to tame one of the most powerful rivers in the world. Behind it sits roughly 40 billion tons of water. When scientists studied that much mass lifted and held in one place, they found it had nudged the Earth's rotation, stretching our days by a sliver, the same way a spinning skater slows down by reaching their arms out wide. To carve out the reservoir, more than 1 million people had to leave their homes and whole towns vanished beneath the rising water. The dam now pushes out as much electricity as around 15 nuclear reactors, feeding a huge slice of the country's power grid. A structure so heavy, the planet itself had to adjust to carry it. Have you ever watched a boat sail calmly over the roof of a highway while cars stream along beneath it in the Netherlands near the town of Harderwijk? The Veluwemeer Aqueduct pulls off exactly that trick. Here, the busy N302 highway ducks down and slips under a wide channel of lake water, so it looks like the road has been sliced clean in half and swallowed. To hold a lake up over a road, engineers packed in nearly 29,000 cubic yards of concrete to fight the constant upward push of the water. The stretch of water crossing above the cars runs only about 80 feet long, so drivers pass under the lake in a few seconds. Around 28,000 cars slide below each day, while boats glide above. Neither side ever has to stop. The strangest part is knowing there are fish swimming somewhere over your head. Engineers describe the Shenzhen-Zhongshan link in China as a space station that conquers the sky and the sea floor at once. To let giant cargo ships pass beneath it, the bridge deck climbs to about 250 feet of clearance, the highest of any sea bridge in the world, so the highway looks like a ribbon strung across open water. Then comes the moment that stops you cold. Halfway across the 15-mile bridge, simply dives into the sea. The road drops into the world's first underwater expressway in change and keeps going through a tunnel beneath the ocean floor. Inside, 14 patrol robots roll along the walls beside heat sensors and emergency lights that flip to red in a crisis. Thanks to all of it, a trip that once ate up more than 2 hours now takes about 30 minutes. A road that decides halfway across to become a tunnel under the sea. If a highway that plunges into the ocean doesn't make you want to see the rest of this list, nothing will. Take a second to subscribe and stay with us. The strangest builds are still ahead. High in the Swiss Alps, on a knife edge of rock above the Jungfraujoch, stands the Sphinx Observatory, often called the highest eye in Europe. It clings to a summit about 11,700 feet above sea level, wrapped in a metal shell built to shrug off snowstorms and thin, freezing air. Reaching it is a feat of its own. Visitors pass through a tunnel bored straight into the heart of the mountain, then an elevator that climbs the last stretch of solid rock in seconds, starting from a railway station that is itself the highest in Europe. Since 1937, scientists have used this outpost to watch the sky and the air itself, tracking the greenhouse gases that reveal how fast our climate is shifting. Below it spills the longest glacier in the Alps. An outpost balanced at the roof of a continent, quietly listening to the atmosphere. If you love towering mountain views but dread endless stone stairways, China built an answer that is equal parts clever and controversial. Bolted to a near-vertical cliff in the Enshi Grand Canyon in Hubei runs a cascade of outdoor escalators more than 2,000 feet long. They climb roughly 700 feet up the rock, from the canyon floor toward the peaks, carrying visitors past drops that would take hours to hike on foot. From a distance, the whole run looks like a long wooden dragon draped over the mountainside. To pin all that machinery to a sheer cliff and keep it running through storms and fog, engineers anchored the structure deep into the stone. A 4-hour climb shrunk to a smooth ride of about half an hour. Convenient? No question, though not everyone agrees a mountain should come with an escalator. In Singapore, an entire apartment complex looks as if a giant stacked it out of building blocks and then wandered off. This is the Interlace, named World Building of the Year, and it threw out the usual rulebook of tall, lonely towers. Instead of reaching straight up, 31 long blocks lie on their sides and cross over each other at angles stacked into a loose hexagonal honeycomb 6 stories at a time. The gaps between them were planned by computer, so the blocks shade one another and open up channels that funnel cool breezes through the whole site. Thanks to rooftop gardens and green terraces layered on top, the complex holds more planted space than the ground it was built on. Residents cross between rooftops on raised walkways, and the interlocking blocks wrap around 8 leafy courtyards. A neighborhood that decided to grow sideways instead of up. In Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, there is a tower where you can watch the sun set, ride upward, and watch it set all over again. This is the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on Earth, piercing the desert sky at about 2,717 feet. Up at the crown, the air can run as much as 15 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the street below, and the winds turn fierce. To hold all that height on soft desert ground, the tower sinks hundreds of piles deep underground and splits into a 3-pronged Y shape that breaks the wind before it can shove the building around. Inside elevators race upward at about 33 feet every second, using aircraft-style pressure control so your ears barely notice the climb. From the observation deck, the city below shrinks to scattered grains of sand. Would you be brave enough to step out there and look straight down? Tucked into the Scottish countryside, spins the only rotating boat lift on Earth, a machine that looks more like a giant sculpture than a piece of engineering. This is the Falkirk wheel, built to solve a stubborn problem: 2 canals separated by about 79 feet of height, roughly an 8-story drop. Before it existed, Boats crawled through a staircase of 11 locks, a trip that swallowed most of a day. Now a single graceful turn does the same job in about 5.5 minutes. Here is the part that still delights engineers. One arm can carry a fully loaded tourist boat, while the other rides nearly empty, yet both stay perfectly balanced at around 500 tons each. And despite hauling all of that weight through the air, the whole rotation uses about the same power it takes to boil 8 kettles of water. Enormous effort spent so quietly, you could almost miss it. In southern France, a road appears to float across the sky on impossibly thin white masts. This is the Millau Viaduct, the tallest bridge on Earth, its highest mast, climbing to about 1,125 feet taller than the Eiffel Tower itself. To carry a highway over a wide, deep valley, engineers raised 7 slender concrete piers on steep ground and leaned on satellite positioning to keep every joint lined up to a hair. The deck was built to flex slightly with the wind while still carrying millions of trucks a year. On misty mornings, the valley floor vanishes beneath a sea of cloud, and the bridge seems to hang in open air with nothing underneath. Cross it in a few minutes, and you skip a long, grinding descent through the gorge below. A road that would rather ride above the weather than through it. Out in the Gobi Desert of Gansu in China, more than 7,000 white turbines march across the sand as far as the eye can follow. This is the Jiuquan Wind Power Base, the largest onshore wind farm on Earth, spread over roughly 15,000 square miles, an area close to the size of Switzerland. The land here is flat, and almost nothing slows the wind, so the blades turn day and night, even through howling sandstorms. Packed this densely, the turbines actually tug at the wind itself, nudging how the air moves across the whole region. The plan is to push the base toward 20 gigawatts, enough to power an entire nation. To carry that electricity to the crowded cities far to the east, ultra-high voltage lines haul it across thousands of miles of open country. A barren stretch of desert quietly rewired to keep distant cities glowing. In New South Wales, Australia, one stretch of coastal road gave up fighting the cliffs and simply stepped out over the ocean instead. This is the Sea Cliff Bridge, built after the old clifftop road was battered so often by rockfalls and landslides that it had to be closed for good. Rather than hug the crumbling rock face, engineers drove foundations into the seabed and swung the bridge as far as 230 feet out from the original road. The curving deck follows the line of the Pacific coast for the better part of half a mile. Set apart from the mainland like this, it reads as a thin ribbon hung between steep cliffs on one side and open water on the other. Built to shrug off pounding storms and years of salt spray, it has become a favorite perch for watching whales pass on their long migration. A road that decided the safest place to be was out over the sea. What do you do with a giant clay pit that has been dug out, drained, and left for dead? In Cornwall, England, the answer became the Eden Project, an entire living world, planted at the bottom of an old quarry roughly 200 feet deep. Its centerpiece is a cluster of vast domes built from hundreds of lightweight, air-filled ETFE cushions stretched over frames of steel. Bubbles big enough to swallow whole ecosystems. One holds a steaming tropical rainforest, among the largest under any roof on Earth. The other, a warm Mediterranean world of olives and vines. Keeping those climates alive inside a cool, damp British quarry is a constant fight against temperature, humidity, and flooding. Yet a place stripped bare by mining now shelters more than 1 million plants from around the globe. a dead pit coaxed back into something absurdly alive. On a cliff in Guangdong, China, two enormous glass structures hang in the sky like a pair of tennis rackets left leaning against the clouds. This is the Huangtengxia Qianmen Skywalk, a steel and glass loop that juts about 1,200 feet out from the mountainside over the valley below. The thrill is the mix of height and clear glass underfoot, standing on a transparent floor at roughly the height of a 160-story building. Off the outer ring pours a huge, man-made waterfall, throwing up a thick mist that makes the ground seem to melt away. After dark, more than 2,000 lights sync to music and turn the whole structure into a glowing ring suspended over the mountains. It is engineering built for one purpose: to make your stomach drop. Beautiful and unnerving in exactly the same breath. Would you spend a night in a place where a single wrong step could drop you thousands of feet down the mountain? High on the Italian side of the Alps sits the Margherita Hut, the highest mountain refuge in Europe, perched on the summit of the Signalkuppe at nearly 15,000 feet. Up here, the air is thin enough to turn every breath into work, and lightning storms hammer the exposed peak. Back in 1893, workers hauled the whole hut up by hand, and by mule, every beam and panel carried across the glaciers to the top. To survive the strikes, the refuge is wrapped in a copper shell that works like a giant cage, steering the lightning around the people sheltering inside. Even so, climbers still dream of reaching it, just to test how far their bodies will go. A tiny box of warmth, balanced where the mountain barely allows it. On the frozen Brunt ice shelf in Antarctica, stands a research station that looks like a line of spacecraft parked on skis. This is Halley 6, the world's first fully relocatable polar base, and its cleverest trick is that it can pick itself up and move. The whole station rests on giant hydraulic legs tipped with skis. When the ice cracks or drifting snow threatens to bury it, the legs lift the modules clear, and the entire base can be towed across the ice to safer ground, which is exactly what happened when a widening crack forced a 14-mile move. Its bright red and blue pods stand out hard against the endless white part laboratory, part lifeboat. It was here decades ago that scientists first spotted the hole in the ozone layer, reading a warning off the bottom of the world. A building that learned to walk on a continent that refuses to hold still. If one structure captures the whole idea of the impossible made real, it might be the Øresund Bridge, running between Denmark and Sweden. Picture driving across a sweeping cable-stayed bridge for about 5 miles over open sea, only to watch the road ahead sink and vanish straight into the water. The crossing is really 3 things stitched together: a bridge, a tunnel, and a man-made island called Pierbeholm, dropped into the middle of the strait as a handoff point. At that island, the open highway dives down and becomes an undersea tunnel running about 2.5 miles beneath the seabed. The reason for the switch is pure problem solving. A taller bridge would have cut across the flight paths into Copenhagen Airport, while a lower one would have blocked the big cargo ships. So engineers built half a crossing in the sky and half of it underwater. One journey, 2 countries, and a road that refuses to stay above the waves. "16 feet beneath the surface of the Indian Ocean in the Maldives, there is a dining room where the only thing between you and the open sea is a curved wall of clear acrylic. This is Ithar, the world's first undersea restaurant built almost entirely of glass on the ocean floor. The whole structure, weighing about 175 tons, was actually assembled on land in Singapore, floated out by ship and lowered gently onto a coral reef. Inside its rounded dome, diners look up to watch sharks, sea turtles, and reef fish glide directly over their tables. The sea, though, is a harsh landlord. Built with a design life of only about 20 years, this little glass room is quietly living on borrowed time, even as it keeps serving dinner beneath the waves. A meal eaten inside the ocean on a lease, the ocean can cancel. High in the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico hangs the Baluarte Bridge, a span so tall that the entire Eiffel Tower could stand in the gorge beneath it with room to spare. For a few years, it held the record as the highest cable-stayed bridge in the world, and it is still the highest bridge anywhere in the Americas. It was built to tame a stretch of road so lethal that locals called it the Devil's Backbone. With almost no way to reach the site, crews had to build what amounted to a small town in the clouds and rig giant pulley systems to haul thousands of tons of material across the canyon. Its boldest feature is a central span more than 1,700 feet long, suspended around 1,300 feet above the canyon floor, with no support columns underneath. When a car bursts out of a dark tunnel onto the fog-covered deck, it looks like a road running straight into the sky. If wide, empty horizons make you uneasy, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway in Louisiana might be your idea of a nightmare. Running nearly 24 miles across the lake, it holds the world record as the longest continuous bridge over water anywhere on the planet. Its strangest feature is not height or clever design. It is the moment near the middle when land disappears completely. For a stretch, there is only water and sky in every direction, and the road looks like an endless gray thread laid across the surface. To stand up to tropical storms, engineers drove more than 9,000 concrete piles into the lake bed. And because it sits low and lets the water wash across it rather than fight it, the causeway stayed standing through Hurricane Katrina even as bigger bridges nearby were torn apart. If landing on a short runway sounds nerve-wracking, then in Madeira, Portugal, planes touch down on a giant platform hanging over the Atlantic. To stretch the runway out from steep mountain terrain, engineers planted about 180 concrete columns into the coastline, some rising as high as 230 feet, roughly a 20-story building. That forest of pillars holds up a runway extension weighing thousands of tons, so from below, the whole thing looks like a concrete pier stolen from the sea. On approach, pilots see no open land ahead of them, only a narrow strip pinned between rough waves and cliffs. In the shifting crosswinds that funnel between mountain and ocean, a small misjudgment of the wind can turn a routine landing into a white-knuckle fight. Even so, this remains the vital air gateway linking Madeira to mainland Portugal and the rest of Europe. Have you ever eaten a meal nearly 10,000 feet up? In a restaurant that once played a villain's lair in a James Bond film, on the summit of the Schilthorn in Switzerland sits Piz Gloria, one of the world's first revolving restaurants, its dining room turning a slow, full circle about every 45 minutes. Building anything up here was brutal. Materials had to be flown in by helicopter, and the cable car that reaches it climbs more than 3,000 feet up the mountain face. When money ran short during construction, the crew filming on Her Majesty's Secret Service stepped in to help finish it, using the unfinished building as the villain's mountaintop hideout. Today, diners drift slowly past the Eigermonch and Jungfrau peaks while their plates never move, a revolving room that turns the whole Alps into the view. Along the western coast of Norway runs the Atlantic Ocean Road, a stretch of about 5 miles that leaps between tiny rock islands on a chain of low bridges. It was carved straight through one of the roughest patches of the North Atlantic, and during 6 years of construction, 12 separate storms tore at the work site. The star of the route is the Storsesundet Bridge, built with such a sharp curve that from certain angles the road looks like it simply snaps off into empty air, a bridge to nowhere. In winter, waves rear up and wash clear over the windshield of passing cars. On calmer days, seals bask on the reefs, and now and then whales roll past close to the asphalt. Norwegians voted it their construction of the century, and it is easy to see why. A road that treats the open ocean as just another lane. In the mountain megacity of Chongqing, China, a skyscraper was laid down on its side and lifted into the sky. This is the Crystal at Raffles City, a horizontal tower roughly 820 feet up, resting across the tops of 4 separate skyscrapers at once. The engineering behind it is staggering. About 12,000 tons of steel, close to the weight of the entire Eiffel Tower, were assembled down on the ground and then jacked up hundreds of feet into place. Because the region shakes with earthquakes, the whole bridge rides on sliding bearings that let it shift instead of snap. Up top, there is a garden, a glass-bottom deck, and an infinity pool set some 60 stories in the air, looking down on the exact spot where 2 great rivers meet. A building that decided the ground was optional. Off the coast of Rudong, in Jiangsu, China, hundreds of white turbines rise straight out of the Yellow Sea in long marching rows. This is one of the largest offshore wind bases in Asia, part of an enormous push to pull clean power out of the open water. Each machine is a giant. A single blade runs nearly the length of a football field, and the foundations beneath them weigh thousands of tons, hammered deep into a soft, shallow seabed that dries out at low tide. Out here, they have to stand firm against super typhoons that come screaming across the sea. Together, they generate enough clean electricity to light well over 1 million homes. From shore, they look almost like a row of silent white warriors, planted in the waves and holding the line. Incredible infrastructure built where the land runs out. Our last stop is quieter than the rest. On the shore of Taihu Lake in Huzhou, China, stands the Sheraton Huzhou, a hotel shaped like a giant ring, rising straight out of the water. Its architect drew the curve from the arched stone bridges, painted in old Chinese ink scrolls. Above the surface, the building forms a tall horseshoe, but the lake finishes the picture. The reflection completes the circle, so the whole thing reads as a perfect glowing ring. After dark, lit from within, it hangs over the water like a full moon that decided to come down and rest. Inside, marble and crystal catch the light, and the curved rooms look straight out across the lake. An architectural marvel that ends this journey not with noise or height, but with a soft, steady glow on the water. All of these places scattered across deserts, oceans, mountains, and ice. Some hold back rivers. Some hang over canyons. Some simply glow on the water at night. What they share is not size or height, but a single stubborn moment when someone looked at a place the world called impossible and decided to build there anyway. Long after the cameras leave, the mirrors will still turn to the sun. The turbines will still lean into the wind, and the bridges will still carry people home over water that was never meant to be crossed. The impossible, it turns out, is just a place we have not reached yet. Would you dare to to spend one night in a house standing completely alone in the middle of the ocean with waves taller than the building itself, crashing over the roof. Or step onto an island the government has erased from every map, sealed off from the world because the ground moves with thousands of venomous snakes. Houses clinging to the crumbling edge of a cliff, close enough that one heavy rain could drop a bedroom into the abyss. Men breathing through a garden hose 40 feet beneath the ocean floor, digging for gold in the dark, where one collapsing wall of sand can make them disappear forever. So tighten your seatbelt. We're stepping straight into the impossible places, the world's most dangerous places you can't see on TV. Beyond the postcard beaches lies a hidden side of our planet. Remote frontiers shaped by extreme climates, restless geology, and people who live where nature still holds the ultimate power. We'll stand at the rim of the largest lava lake on Earth, climb a rope of braided leather into a monastery hanging above the clouds for more than 1,400 years, and finish inside the crater of a live volcano sealed off by walls of black rock. So here's the real question. Could you live in a place like these, where one mistake means there is no second chance? Stay with us until the very end. That final place will change the way you see our planet. If you love the kind of expedition most cameras never reach, subscribe now, and let's step in. Off the northern tip of Palawan in the Philippines lies El Nido, a maze of limestone cliffs and hidden sea caves that most visitors only ever see from the deck of a boat. But before the first tourists wake, other men are already on the rock. They carry nothing but bamboo ladders and lengths of rough rope, climbing more than 300 feet up sheer limestone to reach the caves above the waves. What they are after is called white gold, edible birds' nests built from the hardened saliva of little swiftlets wedged onto cave ceilings and narrow ledges in the dark. On the international market, a single kilogram, a little over 2 pounds, can sell for anywhere from $1,500 to more than $3,000. The climb is the price. The ladders sway above black water and jagged rock, and there are no harnesses here, no second chances. One slip is the end of it. Families have done this for generations, and they keep doing it. Down below, the postcard version of El Nido carries on. Turquoise Water Island tours a bucket list destination for travelers from all over the world. And a few hundred feet up, someone is balancing on bamboo for a handful of nests. Climb to El Alto in Bolivia, and you are standing on one of the highest cities on Earth, a cold plateau spread out at around 13,600 feet above the sea. Up here, the air itself is thin. Each breath carries only about 2/3 of the oxygen you would get at sea level, and newcomers feel it in their chests within minutes. But the sky is not the real danger, it is the ground. On the edge of the plateau, houses sit right where the flat land breaks and falls away, some of them barely 1 to 3 feet from the drop. Behind those walls, near vertical slopes, plunge 50, 100, sometimes 200 feet into narrow ravines. Over the years, whole homes have slid into the gap after the ground beneath them simply gave out. And still people stay. Many are Aymara, and some follow Yatiri traditional healers who trust that old rituals and the protection of Pachamama Mother Earth will hold the land in place. You can see the scars of past collapses right from the doorway. People live beside them anyway, at the edge of the abyss, as if that edge were just another part of home. In the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a mountain glows red against the night sky. This is Mount Nyiragongo, rising more than 11,000 feet over the city of Goma, and it holds something almost no other volcano on Earth can offer: a lake of molten rock that never freezes over. Inside its crater, nearly a mile wide, sits the largest lasting lava lake in the world, a churning, blistering pool of liquid stone, hotter than 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, throwing orange light onto the underside of the clouds. From the rim, it looks almost hypnotic. Waves of molten rock roll and burst a living sea of fire. And that beauty is exactly what makes it so deadly. The lava here is unusually thin and runny, far more fluid than the lava of most volcanoes. When the crater wall cracks, that molten rock does not creep. It pours downhill fast enough to outrun a person, and it has swallowed whole neighborhoods with almost no warning. The mountain has proven it more than once. In 2002, lava ran straight into Goma, wiping out around 15% of the city and leaving more than 100,000 people with nowhere to go. It woke again in 2021, killing dozens and sending rivers of fire toward homes as families fled in the dark. What makes Nyiragongo so frightening is not just the fire, it is who lives beneath it. More than 1 million people are packed into Goma, and the towns around it, directly below those slopes, on ground the mountain has buried before. They wake up every morning under a volcano that is still awake too, and most of them have nowhere else to go. Somewhere in the Bay of Bengal sits North Sentinel Island, part of India's Andaman chain and one of the most forbidden places anywhere on the planet. It is not large, only about 23 square miles of forest, ringed by pale reef and open sea. What makes it dangerous is not the land. It is the people who have lived there alone for thousands of years. The Sentinelese are among the last uncontacted tribes on Earth, and they have made their answer to the outside world very clear. Boats that drift too close have been met with arrows from the shore. In 2018, a young American who tried to land there illegally was killed within days. To protect both the islanders and the outsiders who might disturb them, India has drawn an exclusion zone of roughly 3 miles around the whole island. Crossing it is a crime. Even researchers are kept away. So the island stays exactly as it is, green, silent from a distance, completely closed. A piece of the world that has simply refused to be visited. Reaching more than 400 miles into the Arctic Ocean, the Yamal Peninsula in northern Russia is one of the coldest inhabited places on Earth. Its name, in the language of the Nenets people, means the end of the world. For much of the year, temperatures sit below -22 degrees Fahrenheit, and Arctic storms can drag the wind chill down past -58. The whole peninsula rests on permafrost ground that has stayed frozen so long it runs hundreds of feet deep. And yet people live out here. Thousands of Nenets herders still follow their reindeer across this frozen land, moving as much as 600 miles a year, with nothing on the horizon but snow. A blizzard can erase the world in minutes. Then, in 2016, the frozen ground itself became the threat. A summer heatwave thawed the permafrost and released anthrax spores that had been locked in the ice for more than 70 years. Thousands of reindeer died, dozens of people fell ill, and a child lost his life. Out here, the cold is not just hard to survive. Sometimes it keeps its own secrets buried until the day it decides to let them out. Every morning in Paracali, in the Philippines, a group of miners walk straight into the sea. Each one carries a steel weight of about 18 pounds to drag himself down, and a thin plastic hose, the only thing keeping him alive. That hose runs all the way back to an air compressor, sitting on the beach hundreds of feet away. Through it, they breathe. They sink into narrow underwater pits more than 40 feet deep, roughly the height of a 4-story building, and there, in the dark, they dig for gold buried beneath the sea floor. A single dive can last 4 or 5 hours on nothing but the air pushed down that garden-sized pipe. The danger is not only the breathing. Some of the rocks they haul up weigh 900 to 1,100 pounds, heavier than a grand piano, and one collapsing wall of sand can bury a man where no one can reach him. After a full day, thousands of pounds of sand and rock get washed down to a single bucket. And from all of that, the reward is often just a few grams of gold. They know the math. They go back under anyway. On the edge of Cairo, in Egypt, sits a district the tour buses never stop at. Its name is Manshiat Nasser, though most people know it by another one, Garbage City. Every day, trucks roll in from Cairo carrying an estimated 6,000 tons of the city's trash, and the whole neighborhood turns into one enormous sorting floor. From early morning, families work in narrow alleys and cramped courtyards, separating plastic, glass, metal, and food waste by hand with no industrial gloves and no masks. The air hangs thick with dust smoke and the smell of things rotting. And then above all of it, something you would never expect. Carved straight into the cliffs over the district stands the monastery of St. Simon the Tanner, one of the largest churches in the entire Middle East. Its huge amphitheater cut from bare rock. The people here are mostly the Zabaleen, and they are not just living in the garbage. They are recycling it by hand, sending as much as 80% of everything Cairo throws away back into use, turning what everyone else was finished with into a way to survive. Stretching across the border of India and Bangladesh lies the Sundarbans, the largest mangrove forest on Earth, and one of the very few places where a human being is not the top predator. These tangled waterways are home to Bengal tigers, more than 100 of them, hidden somewhere in the green. Before the honey collectors go in, many stop to pray to Bon Bibi, the guardian spirit they believe watches over anyone who enters the forest. Then they push off. The men known as mawalis travel 20 to 30 miles by small wooden boat deep into the mangroves, hunting for giant honeycombs wrapped in clouds of tens of thousands of bees. But the bees are the smaller worry. Somewhere in that forest is a tiger, and the tigers here are known to strike from behind. So the hunters wear masks on the backs of their heads, a second face, to fool a predator that is always watching. Over the years, hundreds of fishermen, woodcutters, and honey hunters have not come home from this forest. And still every season, the mawalis go back in. For them, it is not just a wage, it is something handed down one generation to the next in a place that could take everything. On the steep hillsides above Rio de Janeiro in Brazil climbs Rochinha, the largest favela in the country. Somewhere between 70,000 and well over 100,000 people are packed into a single dense maze of concrete stacked straight up the mountain. From far away, it looks like one giant city folded onto itself. But the moment you try to go inside the streets close in around you, most of Rochinha is not really streets at all. It is thousands of stairways and passages so narrow that no car and no outside camera ever reaches them. Homes are built one on top of another, some rising 6 to 10 stories, held up by little more than each other. There are corners of this place that outsiders simply never see. Over the years, tension between armed groups and the police has turned certain streets into no-go zones without warning, where a single burst of gunfire can send everyone indoors and shut a whole block down in seconds. It is a city inside a city, most of it hidden from the outside world, climbing higher up the mountain than any map really bothers to follow. Around the outskirts of Dhaka in Bangladesh, hundreds of tall chimneys rise out of the haze. This is the country's brick belt, stretching across the horizon in every direction. Across Bangladesh, roughly 7,000 kilns turn out about 23 billion bricks a year, feeding a construction boom with close to 1 million people working the clay. Almost all of it is done by hand. Workers dig the clay, shape the bricks, dry them in the sun, and carry heavy stacks across fields of dust and ash, hour after hour in the heat. Around Dhaka alone pour out something like 1.8 million tons of carbon dioxide every year, and the smoke settles over some of the most crowded districts on Earth. For a growing country, Every brick is a piece of the future going up. For the people under the smoke, every brick is measured in heat, in dust, and in a day that starts all over again tomorrow. Hidden in the old canals of Xochimilco, just south of Mexico City in Mexico, is one of the strangest places you will ever lay eyes on the island of the dolls. Nearly every tree and every fence on this small patch of land is covered in dolls. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, their faces cracked and sun-bleached. Many missing eyes, arms or heads staring out from the branches. It started in the 1950s with a man named Don Julian Santana Barrera. The story goes that a young girl drowned in the water nearby, and he became convinced her spirit had stayed behind. So he began hanging dolls to calm her. One, then dozens, then hundreds. For more than 50 years, he pulled discarded dolls from the canals and the trash and tied them up among the trees. Time did the rest. Damp insects and years turned the toys into something else entirely peeling and hollow-eyed in the humidity. And then the ending no one saw coming. In 2001, Don Julian was found drowned in the same canal where he believed the girl had died. Boats still drift out here through the reeds, but almost nobody stays for long. High in the Himalayas of India runs the Zanskar Road, counted among the most remote and dangerous drives anywhere on Earth. Most of it sits above 13,000 feet. The surface is little more than rough gravel, barely 8 to 10 feet wide, with no guardrail of any kind. On one side, a solid wall of rock. On the other, a straight drop of hundreds of feet, with nothing at all to catch you. In some places, the cliff overhead hangs so low, it nearly scrapes the roof of a truck, and drivers thread through, inch by inch. The danger never really lets up. Rocks come loose from above without warning. Meltwater pours straight across the road, and in a heartbeat, every bit of grip under the tires can simply disappear. One mistake here and there is no second try, and yet people drive it every single day. So here is a real question for you. If this road were the only way home, would you keep going? Or would you turn back at the very first bend? Off the coast of Sao Paulo, in Brazil, lies an island you are not allowed to visit. Its real name is Ilha da Queimada Grande. Almost everyone just calls it Snake Island. It is small, only about 100 acres of rock and forest, roughly 21 miles out to sea. But the ground here moves. Somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 golden lancehead vipers live on this one island and nowhere else on the planet. Their venom is among the fastest and most destructive of any snake, strong enough to rot the flesh around a bite. That is why the Brazilian Navy sealed the island off nearly 100 years ago. No tourists, no campers. The only people allowed ashore are a handful of scientists carrying a federal permit, and even they bring a doctor along in the boat. There is an old automated lighthouse on the rock, and a story the locals still tell about the last keeper and his family, who supposedly never made it off alive. No one can prove it. No one seems eager to test it either. This is what forbidden actually looks like. Not a fence, not a warning sign. Just an island the whole world quietly agreed to leave alone. Out in the Atlantic, about 4 miles west of the Isles of Scilly, off the tip of England, stands Bishop Rock Lighthouse, built on what the record books call the smallest inhabited island in the world. The rock underneath it is so tiny that at high tide it almost vanishes, just a wave-beaten stub of granite in the open sea. The tower itself rises about 160 feet, finished back in 1858, and the ocean has never once stopped testing it. Waves as tall as 100 feet have been recorded slamming into it, swallowing the lower half of the lighthouse whole in the worst Atlantic storms. For generations, keepers lived inside that narrow tower, cut off from land for weeks at a time, climbing between its cramped, stacked floors while the sea roared outside. The light was automated in 1992, so no one lives out there anymore. But every night, it still throws its beam more than 20 miles across the water. A single stone tower alone on a rock, the sea keeps trying to take back. In the far north of Ethiopia, up in the Tigray highlands, a monastery sits on top of a mountain with sheer walls on every side. This is Debre Damo, and for more than 1,400 years, there has been only one way in. It is not a road, it is not a staircase, it is a rope. To reach the top, monks and pilgrims tie a length of plaited leather around the waist and climb a bare cliff face about 50 feet straight up, while a monk above hauls on a second line. There is no harness, there is no safety net, and if you look closely, you realize the rope is nothing more than strips of old leather laced together by hand. Layer by layer, the danger here is simple and total. One grip fails, and there is nothing beneath you but air and rock. At the top, the world falls away. The plateau is completely cut off. Food supplies, even new monks, all arrive by that same terrifying climb. Around 150 monks live up there, growing their own food, keeping to prayer almost entirely self-sufficient. The monastery was founded in the 6th century by Abuna Aragawi, one of the 9 saints who carried Christianity into these highlands. Local tradition says he could never have made that first climb on his own. The story goes that a giant serpent sent from heaven wound around him and lifted him to the top. 14 centuries later, it is still here. Through invasions, through wars, through all of it guarded by nothing but its own impossible height. Some of Ethiopia's oldest books have survived up there, kept safe by the very climb that keeps almost everyone else out. Standing up there, so close to the sky, it is hard not to feel just how small one human life really is. If a place like this gives you chills, do us a quick favor and subscribe. The road ahead only gets stranger from here. On the wild southwest coast of Sumba Island, in Indonesia, sits the old village of Ratangaro with its towering thatched rooftops and ancient stone tombs. It is also one of the gateways to something few outsiders ever witness, the Pasola. Once a year around February and March, when strange sea worms called Nyal wash up on the shore, the clans of Sumba answer a very old call. Hundreds of riders gather on open fields bareback on small, fast horses. Then they charge. 2 sides gallop straight at each other, hurling wooden spears across the gap while trying to dodge the ones flying back. The spears are blunt now, by law. They still draw blood. And blood is the whole point. For the people here, who follow the old Marapu faith, spilled blood soaks into the ground and feeds the coming harvest. A field without it is read as a bad omen. Things can tip over fast. When the fighting runs too hot, armed police move in to break it up before it becomes something worse. To die in the Pasola is not seen as a tragedy here. It is seen as a gift to the land. And every year, when the worms return, so do the riders. On the shore of the Arctic Ocean in the north of Russia stands Tiksi, one of the most isolated towns anywhere on the planet. Winter here settles in hard. Temperatures regularly fall below -40 degrees, and the wind off the sea can push what the skin feels down closer to -50. For almost 2 months each winter, the sun barely lifts above the horizon, and the town slides into a long polar night. The ground never truly thaws. Permafrost runs hundreds of feet down frozen solid year after year. And Tixi is far from everything. The nearest real city is more than 1,000 miles away, and for much of the year, supplies can only arrive by aircraft or during the short summer window when the sea ice finally pulls back and ships can reach the coast. Here, the danger is not a cliff or a predator. It is the Arctic itself, and a blizzard can drop visibility to nothing in minutes. Still, several thousand people call this place home. They wake in the dark, in the cold, at the very edge of the map, and they simply get on with the day. Off the coast of Tahiti in French Polynesia, there is a wave that surfers talk about in a hush. Its name is Teahupo'o, and from the beach, it can look almost gentle, a clean blue line rolling in over turquoise water. The camera loves that view. What it will not show you is what waits just beneath the surface. Here, a razor-sharp coral reef sits barely 20 inches under the water. So when a big swell arrives, the wave does not roll and peel like an ordinary wave. It rears up and folds forward all at once, as thick as it is tall, breaking almost below sea level. The reason is hidden underwater. Just 50 yards out the seafloor drops away to more than 300 feet deep. All that open ocean power races in, slams into the shallow shelf, and explodes into a single heaving wall of water. Get it wrong here, and you do not fall into the sea. You fall onto coral in barely a few feet of water with tons of ocean coming down on top of you. This one wave has killed surfers and scarred many more. From above, it looks like paradise. A few feet down, it is one of the most dangerous places in the ocean. High on the Mont Blanc Massif, on the Italian side, at about 9,300 feet, a strange capsule clings to the rock above the Frabouze Glacier. This is Bivacco Gervasuti, and it looks less like a mountain hut than a small spaceship bolted to a cliff. Getting there is the hard part. There are no roads, no cable cars, no gentle trails. Climbers have to cross a broken, crevassed glacier and haul themselves up, fixed cables and bare rock with sudden storms rolling in on almost no warning. One wrong step near the top, and there is a very long way to fall. Inside it is tiny, room for only about 12 people on simple bunks. Yet this modern pod runs on solar power, insulated and stocked, holding warm inside its shell while the wind screams past outside. It is named after Giusto Gervasuti, a legendary Italian climber who pushed the hardest routes of his day. Hanging there between rock ice and open sky, it is a quiet reminder that up here, nothing about survival is ever promised. Far to the northeast of Ethiopia lies the Danakil Depression, one of the hottest places anywhere on Earth. It sits more than 400 feet below sea level, and the temperature here can climb past 120 degrees. The ground looks like another planet. Neon yellow and green acid pools bubble and hiss. The air reeks of sulfur, and toxic gas drifts low over the crust. And people work here. The Afar have crossed this furnace for centuries, cutting slabs of salt by hand and loading them onto long camel caravans that walk for days across the burning flats. Out here in a place that feels built to kill you, it is a living. And every day, under that punishing sun, they go back for more. Deep in the mountains of Yunnan in China, the Nujiang River tears through one of the steepest canyons in the country. Its name means the Angry River, and the roads carved into its cliffs are some of the most terrifying anywhere. This is not a road built for tourism. It was cut straight into the rock, and in places it narrows until there is barely room for a single vehicle. Overhead, the cliff hangs so low it can almost scrape the roof of a truck. On the open side, the ground drops hundreds of feet to the river with no guardrail and only inches between the tires and the edge. For the people who live along the Angry River, this is not an adventure. It is the only road to the outside world. Groceries, school, everything comes and goes along that ledge. One slow, wrong move, and the river takes it all. And still every day they drive it. From high above the Gulf of Gonave in Haiti, a tiny island called Cayos Sable barely looks real, just a cluster of rooftops floating on turquoise water with almost no land beneath them. The whole island covers less than half an acre, about the size of a single football field. You could walk all the way around it in under a minute, and yet close to 300 people live here, packed into around 75 homes, standing shoulder to shoulder against the sea. There are no streets. There are no trees. There is not even fresh water. Almost everything arrives by boat from larger islands nearby. Most families live entirely off the ocean, slipping out before dawn to fish for lobster and crab in the shallows. It is one of the most densely packed places on the planet, a whole community balanced on a sandbar the sea could almost swallow whole. High in the Spiti Valley of northern India sits Kibba, a village perched at around 14,000 feet, one of the highest places on Earth you can still reach by road. Up here, it is a cold desert, bare Himalayan peaks, thin air, and winters that fall far below zero and cut the village off for months at a time. Only around 350 people live in its low stone houses built solid against the wind and the long, dark season. For generations, life has run on herding yaks and sheep, with a brief summer for a little farming before the cold returns. Kibba is not a place life expanded into for comfort. It is a place life simply learned to hold on. Standing alone on a bare rock in the Atlantic, off the southern tip of Ireland, is Fastnet Lighthouse. The Irish call it Ireland's teardrop. For millions of emigrants who sailed for America in the 1800s and 1900s, this was the last piece of Ireland they ever saw fading behind the ship as they crossed into the open ocean. It is the tallest lighthouse in the country, rising around 177 feet, built from more than 2,000 blocks of granite to stand against the Atlantic. In 1985, a single monstrous wave estimated at about 157 feet, crashed over the tower and nearly swallowed it whole. To the sailors who passed it, that light was never just a warning. Out there, at the edge of one of the world's most unforgiving seas, it was a small, steady promise that someone was still watching. In the northeastern United States in New Hampshire stands Mount Washington, and it is far more dangerous than it looks. At just over 6,000 feet, it is no giant next to the world's great peaks, but this mountain has recorded winds of 231 miles per hour, among the strongest ever measured at the surface of the Earth, and its weather is so violent that people have frozen to death only minutes from safety. What makes it deadly is how fast it turns. A clear, calm morning can become a blinding blizzard within hours, with hurricane-force wind and a cold that can knock a grown adult off their feet. Small mountain, world's worst weather, and every year it catches someone who thought they had time. High in the Dolomites of northern Italy, near Cortina d'Ampezzo, a tiny shelter clings to a bare cliff on Monte Cristaio. This is Bivacco Buffa di Perero, one of the most extreme little refuges in all the Alps. The only way to it runs along an exposed mountain route of steel cables and ladders with hundreds of feet of open air beneath your boots. Inside there is barely room for a handful of people. No electricity, no heat, nothing but 4 small walls bolted to the rock. It was built by soldiers during the First World War as a lookout on the Alpine front. More than a century later, it still hangs there, exactly where they left it, staring out over the void. And now for the last stop, we go somewhere that should not exist at all. More than 200 miles south of Tokyo, alone in the Pacific Ocean, a small green island rises straight out of the water. This is Ogashima in Japan, and it is not just built on a volcano. It is built inside one. The entire island is a giant volcanic crater, and rising from the floor of that crater is a second smaller volcano, a caldera within a caldera, a shape found in almost no other place on Earth. Much of the village sits down inside the outer crater wall, in the green bowl, with the inner cone looming right over the houses. Steep cliffs nearly 1,400 feet high wrap the whole island, so the sea is almost impossible to reach outside the little harbor. There is no easy way in. A single daily helicopter carries just 9 people. The ferry is cancelled more often than it runs, beaten back by wind and fog. Only about 170 people live here, the smallest village in all of Japan. They fish, they farm a little, they cook their food in the volcano's own steam, and the mountain beneath them is still listed as active. The last great eruption back in the 1700s killed nearly half the people on the island and emptied it for decades. Then slowly, some of them came back. They live today in the mouth of a sleeping volcano in the middle of the ocean at the very edge of the map, and they call it home. We started at the edge of a cliff and we are ending in the mouth of a volcano. Between them, we crossed frozen tundra and burning salt flats, forbidden islands and roads with nothing beneath them, places sealed off from the map and places the cameras never quite reach. And in almost every one of them, the same strange thing was waiting. Not only danger, but people. Someone who looked at the harshest corner of this planet and decided somehow to call it home. Maybe that is the quiet truth behind all these impossible places. The Earth can be more brutal than anything we imagine, and still we find a way to hold on, to build, to fish, to climb, to stay. At the very edge of the world, someone is already home. Four times a day at a straight, barely 150 meters wide on the Norwegian coast, the ocean decides to pass through. All at once. 14 billion liters of seawater, that number doesn't have an easy comparison. Press through that gap at 40 kilometers per hour. Whirlpools tear open 10 meters across, 5 meters deep. They form, expand, spin, dissolve, then open again somewhere else. You hear it from shore before you see anything. Tourists show up, and most of them just stand at the railing. A lot of them take out their phones, realize the video won't capture the sound, and put them away. A fishing boat moves into the current and heads straight for the swirl. The captain tightens his grip on the wheel. Doesn't slow down. While visitors are still staring, the boat is already through, already turning back toward the dock. The fishermen here have a word for the current at peak force: strömstyrka, stream strong. Children grow up learning which sections of water change, at which tides, which rocks to avoid, at which phase. It's not courage, it's just local knowledge that visitors don't have yet. In the middle of Yemen's Hadramaut Valley, there is a city of towers. Mud brick, 5 to 11 stories, some of them 500 years old, still standing, still inhabited, still maintained by hand every generation, mixing fresh mud with straw and pressing it into the outer walls before the rains come. The towers were built tall to survive flooding. Over centuries, they became something else entirely, a statement. The taller your building, the more powerful your family. Wealthy families added floors. Rivals responded in kind. An architectural arms race in mud 5 centuries before steel frame construction existed anywhere on Earth. A woman fills a bucket from the river, carries it to the 3rd floor, mixes it with straw, and presses it into the wall with her hands. She has done this every few years since she was a girl. Her mother did it. Her grandmother did it. She doesn't think of it as preservation. She thinks of it as maintenance. The tower needs mud before the rains. So she applies mud before the rains. That is the whole story. The towers share walls. They lean against each other slightly, by design, not by accident. When a family can no longer maintain their building, the community steps in, not from charity, because a collapsing tower takes the ones beside it down with it. It has happened. A family delays too long. A wall softens, and suddenly, it is not one family's problem anymore. The community repairs it. The original family sometimes doesn't return. The tower stays. People call Shibam the Manhattan of the desert. That comparison undersells it considerably. Manhattan is 150 years old. Shibam's towers were already ancient when Shakespeare was born. No elevators, no plumbing above the ground floor, no structural steel, just mud, straw, and 500 years of people deciding this was worth maintaining. The Badain Jaran Desert in Inner Mongolia is one of the driest places in China. The dunes here reach 500 meters, among the tallest in the world. The sand is orange-red. The air holds almost no moisture. And in the valleys between the dunes, more than 140 lakes. Some are saltwater, some are freshwater. They sit side by side, separated by nothing but sand. Adjacent, completely different chemistry. Nobody has fully explained why. The water shouldn't be here. The nearest significant rainfall is hundreds of kilometers away. The leading theory involves ancient underground aquifers seeping up from deep below. But the math doesn't fully add up. The desert keeps its source to itself. A monk opens the door of a small temple. at sunrise. Behind him, dunes. In front of him, a lake perfectly still, reflecting the sky back at itself. He sweeps the threshold. Doesn't look at the water the way a visitor would. He just sweeps. Scattered through the desert are several small temples built on the shores of the larger lakes. People reach them on foot across the dunes. There are no roads into the interior. At night, the dunes make sound, a low rumble caused by sand grains shifting against each other in the wind. Locals call it singing sand. The sound carries across the water. In the stillness between gusts, you can hear the desert breathing. The lake in Kaidam Basin makes people stop mid-step. Deep turquoise, saturated, crystal clear to the bottom. White salt flats stretch to every horizon. The whole landscape looks like it was painted with colors too precise to be real. Warning signs in 3 languages. Don't swim, don't touch the water. The color comes from dissolved minerals. The same minerals that create that blue are what make it dangerous. Most people read the signs, then take another photo. Nearby, Karhan Salt Lake has a salt crust 50 to 60 feet thick. Engineers built a road across it known as the Salt Bridge. No concrete. The salt is the foundation. 20 miles of active road sitting on mineral deposits. It has held for decades. The most visually surreal landscape in this region is also an active industrial site. Salt trucks, workers in hard hats, a processing facility next to a lake that doesn't look real. The workers here stop noticing the color after a while. You can tell which ones are new by whether they glance at the water during break. The ones who've been here longer don't. The trucks were there before the photographers. They'll be there after. Lake Tilicho, nearly 5,000 meters above sea level, one of the highest lakes in the world. Deep blue water, white glaciers above, no trees, almost no sound. Getting there takes days. Landslide country, paths that drop away vertically on one side. At this altitude, the lungs start complaining before the eyes understand what they're looking at. Halfway up, people stop talking. Conversation becomes a physical effort. Words cost oxygen here. Some trekkers carry a small treat they've been saving for the whole journey. A chocolate bar, an energy pack. They sit at the edge of the lake, unwrap it, slowly eat it, while looking at the water. 4 days of walking for this exact moment. When you arrive, it is completely still. A trekker sits at the edge, doesn't reach for his phone, just sits. After 20 minutes, he stands and starts back down. He doesn't say anything for the rest of that day. Before the outro, stay here for a moment. In spring, apricot trees bloom across the terraced farms that climb the valley walls. The whole place turns pink and white. An old man drinks tea on a flat rooftop, watching the mountains the way he does every morning. His tea goes cold. He makes another cup. The ladyfinger peak, a narrow column of rock that rises almost vertically from the valley floor into the sky, looks like it was placed deliberately. It doesn't look natural, but it is. Every summer, more apricots come in than can be stored. They're laid out to dry on every available flat surface, rooftops, road edges, cloth spread on the ground. The smell carries for miles in the thin air. Locals press dried apricots into the hands and pockets of visitors without asking, a handful into a jacket, a small bag pressed into a backpack. A woman pushes a fistful into a traveler's pocket without a word. He finds them 3 days later in a guest house somewhere else entirely. Still good. Iceland has an unwritten rule. Nothing here is ever just one thing. Vatnajökull is the largest glacier in Europe. Over 8,000 square kilometers of ice. Enough to bury Belgium, enough to cover an entire small country under a sheet of white. From a distance, it looks like a blank page stretched to the horizon. Underneath it are volcanoes, not one. Several, all active, all simultaneously, all sitting directly beneath moving ice. When one of them wakes up, the heat melts billions of liters of glacial ice within hours. The water has nowhere to go. Pressure builds, then releases all at once a glacial flood. Billions of tons of water pouring across the coastal plain so fast the entire landscape changes shape in under a day. The 1996 eruption sent a wall of water that destroyed 3 bridges and pushed 200-ton chunks of ice half a kilometer inland. The whole event lasted 36 hours. Geologists watched from a safe distance and took notes. There was nothing else to do. Entirely. Every winter, as the ice contracts and shifts, it forms natural tunnels. Caves that glow blue, not sky blue, not turquoise, electric blue. Saturated, like someone left a light on inside and forgot it was there. When you step in, the outside world disappears. Sound drops away. People go quiet without anyone asking them to. These caves don't survive summer. They melt. Every winter, the glacier produces entirely new ones. You book a tour, and you're booking something that didn't exist 6 months ago. The guides here still on the water, but out in the open Atlantic now, a near-perfect ring of land sitting just above the waves. Off the coast of the Azores, it looks like a green circle, wrapped around a calm pool of seawater. It's the top of an old volcano, a few thousand years dead, most of it still hidden underwater. What you can see is just the rim breaking the surface. The bulk of it drops away below. The lagoon in the middle fills the old crater, its floor paved with dark lava rock instead of sand. A narrow channel lets the ocean in and out natural-looking, though people are thought to have widened it long ago to shelter their boats. By day, seabirds tuck themselves into dark holes in the rock. After dark, they come out and call across the water all at once. These days, the calm crater is a swimming spot, and the cliff beside it is a stage for divers who throw themselves off a rock tower into the sea. A volcano turned into a pool. We end at the edge of the world, or what feels like it. Where Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana meet, a single mountain stands above the clouds with a completely flat top sheer cliffs on every side rising over 8,000 feet, with a summit cut so level it looks sliced. Most of the year, the clouds swallow it whole, and it just floats there grey and impossible to reach. It's one of the oldest pieces of land on the planet, part of a foundation more than 2 billion years old. And because the top has been sealed off by those cliffs for so long, life up there went its own way. Plants that eat insects, frogs found nowhere else, a small, isolated world stranded in the sky. Waterfalls pour off the rim and dissolve into mist before they ever reach the bottom. From the thinnest air on a mountaintop, go the other direction entirely, down, inside. In central Vietnam, under dense jungle, sits the largest cave on Earth, one of the most extraordinary natural wonders on the planet. So large that a Boeing 747 could fly down the main passage without its wings touching the walls. The ceiling climbs to around 650 feet. End to end it runs roughly 5.5 miles. A river carved it out of limestone over millions of years, and that river still runs through the dark. Inside stand some of the tallest stalagmites on Earth, and cave pearls the size of baseballs. But the part that stops people isn't the size, it's the light. In 2 places, the roof collapsed long ago, opening enormous skylights, and sunlight pours straight down onto the cave floor. Under that light, a full jungle grows. Trees over 100 feet tall, birds, monkeys, clouds that form near the openings and drift through the cavern. Weather happening underground. It was only properly explored in 2009. Even now, fewer people have stood inside it than have reached the summit of Everest. Only 1,000 a year are allowed in, and the trips sell out years ahead to travelers from more than 70 countries. The man who found the entrance did it by accident. Sheltering from a storm, he felt cold wind roaring out of the ground, then lost it again in the jungle for almost 20 years before he could lead anyone back. Now, an illusion. From the air off the coast of Mauritius, the ocean looks like it's draining. A vast pale plume seems to pour off the edge of a shelf and plunge into a dark blue abyss, as if the sea itself is collapsing through a hole in its own floor. It looks like something a ship could fall into. Nothing is falling. The water stays exactly where it is. What you're seeing is sand and silt. The island sits on a shallow underwater shelf that drops away sharply into deep ocean, and currents drag sediment over that edge down the slope in a steady cascade. From above, the moving sand reads as falling water, a waterfall with no water in it. Generations of local fishermen looked at that dark drop-off and decided it was a doorway you don't go near. Hard to blame them. One of the most unusual natural wonders in the Indian Ocean. Not every mystery here is enormous. Some are small enough to fit in your hands. In Death Valley, one of the hottest places on Earth, there's a dry lake bed cracked into pale plates that stretch flat to the horizon. And across that empty surface, rocks leave tracks. Some weigh as much as a person. Behind them, long grooves carved into the clay. Some run perfectly straight, others curve. A few change direction halfway across the lake bed. The strange part is that nobody saw them move for decades. People arrived in the morning and found new tracks where there had been none before. The answer turned out to be quieter than the mystery. A few times each year, the playa floods. Overnight, the water freezes into thin sheets around the stones. When the morning sun breaks the ice apart, even a light breeze can push those floating panels across the surface, and the rocks move with them, slowly carving lines into the soft mud below. So the stones really do move, just almost never when anyone is there to see it. You only find the trail and realized something heavy crossed the lake while nobody was watching. One of the most famous mysterious landforms in the American desert. Out on the Mangistau Plateau, thousands of stone spheres lie scattered across the ground. Some are the size of a football. Some are bigger than a car. They look arranged, placed, like something cleared this ground and set them down on purpose. Nothing did. They're concretions minerals that slowly gathered around a small core under ancient sediment building. Outward, in layers like a pearl, grows around a grain of sand. The sea that covered all this evaporated something like 120 million years ago, and erosion eventually exposed the spheres it left behind. Several have cracked open over time, and the insides don't match the outside's different color, different texture, like a shell split to show something hidden in the middle. Of course, people came up with other explanations: crashed craft, cosmic eggs, stand on that plane at sunset with long shadows stretching off 1,000 stone balls, and the wild theories at least make emotional sense around one of the world's most mysterious landforms. The eye stares up at the sky. This next place hides everything that matters underneath it. In central Turkey, tens of thousands of tall, pale cones rise out of the valleys, each one capped with a single dark boulder, balanced on top like stone mushrooms in a field that runs to the horizon. They formed the slow way ancient volcanic ash, hardened into soft rock. Then wind and water wore it down, except where a harder cap of basalt sat on top, shielding the column beneath. Erosion did the rest, leaving these thin towers holding up their stone hats. But the real surprise is underneath. Below this ancient landscape sit entire cities carved straight down into the rock. Tunnels, rooms, ventilation shafts, wells, reaching depths of over 260 feet. Tens of thousands of people once disappeared into them to hide from invading armies, sealing the entrances behind them and waiting in the dark. You can walk the surface and see fairy tale scenery with no idea a hidden world is sitting directly under your feet. Stay in the desert heat, but trade the open horizon for something almost invisible. In Arizona, you could walk past this place and never realize it's there. No mountain, no dramatic cliff, just a narrow split in the ground. Then you step inside. The walls close around you, and suddenly, the desert disappears. Smooth sandstone twists upward in flowing curves. Orange turning to red, red fading into shadow, until the sky above becomes a thin ribbon of light. None of it was carved slowly. Flash floods did this, sudden walls of water, forcing through soft rock again and again over thousands of years, shaping the canyon one violent surge at a time. Which means the process never really stopped. Even today, the canyon can fill in minutes. The sky above you can stay blue, while a storm falling miles away sends water racing through the slot. And then there's the moment people come for. A few times each day, sunlight drops through the narrow opening and cuts across the canyon as a solid beam, visible in the dust, hanging in the air. It lasts only a few minutes. This is Navajo land, and people enter with local guides, not just to find the light, but because in one of the most famous hidden places in the American Southwest, knowing the weather matters as much as knowing the way out. "27 places, one planet." We've drained oceans into deserts, frozen water into towers, grown jungles inside caves, and watched stone walk across a dry lake. And the honest part, the part worth sitting with, is how much of this we still can't explain. We've mapped almost all of it. We haven't understood all of it. The strangest thing about this planet isn't any one of these places. It's that they're all the same world, the one outside your window right now. So, which of these would you actually stand in front of? And how sure are you that we've found the last of these impossible places?